And we're back. This is Ted Hicks with Late Night Parents. Across from me, well, per se, not today across from me. And we'll... There we go.
There it is. Technology.
Rich Valdez, how you doing?
What's up, Ted? I am well. How are you, man? It's been a little while since we last broadcast together. Not too long, right? 3 weeks, something like that, a month.
But it's different. It's different because we talk all the time.
Right, exactly. We need to have like a microphone ready on all of our conversations.
Yes.
And then just throw all the snippets together.
Yes. And you can have a podcast for every day of the week.
Exactly.
Always something going on. So this is the Lunch Talk Live version. I like to say this could be an end of week version prior to the weekend. Whole lot working on here. Hey, before I even get started, want to say big shout out to Maya Chaka. Was named, this is Women's History Month. She was named by the NFL first Black female official.
Yeah, I saw that. That was like about a week ago, maybe. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I guess we just have to get to the point, or maybe the better statement is, how long do you think it is until we get to the point where sports are unisex?
It's going to be a while. It's going to be a while because, every time it's like you look at the glass ceiling and it starts getting chipped away and chipped away and chipped away little by little. And, it's going to be a while before we're like, oh, such and such was hired as, for this position.
Right.
Without it being the, noted as the first, right, female or Black female or, East Indian female or something like that. Mm-hmm. It just needs to be, hey, this is their profession, and that's that.
Right.
This is their credentials. So big shout out to her. Virginia Beach resident.
Oh, okay.
So shout out to friend True Armor, who's down there in Virginia Beach, probably on someone's panel right now arguing about the left versus the right.
You don't have to be on anyone's panel for those debates these days. Just start a conversation.
It feels like it's all the same. It's like, it feels like a lot of the stuff, I won't say everything, but a lot of stuff, the lines are blurred. The lines are really blurred. Before we really get started, we were talking about stocks.
Yep.
And we were talking about stocks, and I just need to see your face when I say this. In pre-pro.
And
I got to tell you, Rich, I got out.
You got out. So why? We'll continue the conversation, right? Because I was going to ask, why did you get out? Because you were saying you were going all in there, and that was going to be the one.
I was going all in. Really heavy on GBTC.
Yep.
Made a nice amount of change from there. The volatility. And I just said, you know what? I'm out. You gotta, in the movie Heat, Robert De Niro's character said, you got to be ready to leave in 30 seconds.
Right.
You got to be ready to leave. Totally. And that's what I was. I was gone.
You were there. I get that. I respect that. See, I look at it, especially for the investing thing. I know I don't have the time to sit there and wait and look for the 30-second windows.
Right.
So it's going to open and close a dozen times before I look at it and see, oh, wait, the door's cracked. And it's already going to be too late.
And that's how it is sometimes. It's like after it's already done, like the deal is done.
Right.
And you're sitting there, you're like, what just happened?
What did I miss? And been in plenty of those where it's like, all right, well, if I had been there, maybe I would have caught it, and then maybe not.
I mean,
So
but we're not day traders.
no,
So
exactly, and that's the key. So it's, you either got to be, you're in it for short term or you're in it for the long haul. Short term, when I say that, I mean, you're going to hold it for a week or two or three. You're not going to sit there and watch it day by day, hour, minute by minute, which is what you need to do to be the day trader. We're going to get in there. We'll hear something. We'll do some due diligence, do some research. Say, all right, this looks pretty good. Pick it up, see what it does over the next month or so, and then make your decisions. Or you get it saying over the long term, this is going to be, it'll give me my percentage gains, and I'll just let it sit there until I want to pull it out. And they both have their advantages. I'm more the long term guy for the most part.
yeah, you know what? I fully, wholeheartedly agree with you. I'm just looking through some notes here, Rich, but I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. I don't know. You kind of just get a feeling.
Oh yeah, go for it.
You
You
know,
throw some money in there, see what happens.
I got the feeling, and I was just like, you know what? I'm out. And it's just being able to say I'm out, and you're just at the point of, you know what? I'll get back in
Right.
eventually, but for
Right.
right now, I'm like, because if you look at the market, yeah, the job numbers were up today,
Mhm.
so the market, there was a bounce.
Market's positive. There's a bounce. Yep.
Um, payroll taxes versus job numbers and everything else, and the fact that, I mean, and you and I usually don't bring politics too tough into our discussion, but sometimes we broach it. It's
Mhm.
like the fact, is there stimulus, or the stimulus plan itself that we know of it.
Right.
Is it going to get passed? Is it going to be a variation that's going to get passed? You kind of sit there and you kind of wonder, like, what's happening?
I think this one gets passed. What are we looking at now? 1,400. I think this gets passed. Because what you can't deny, no matter what side of the aisle you may be on, that those checks, they went in people's pockets and they got spent. That's money that went right back
Yes.
into the economy. How it got there, or it could be two different things. Some people, of course, had to use it because they had rent to pay, they had bills due, and all those things got paid and kept them active. Other people who maybe didn't, quote unquote, I'll say, need the money quite as severely, it's still money to get spent. Even if they said, all right, well, hey, I got an extra $600, let's go out to eat. It could be anything. It's money that goes back into the economy. So you can't complain about that. And quite honestly, I would much rather that we sit there and do this one or two more times for a few more billions of dollars, putting it into people's hands instead of spending it on items which we maybe don't need to be spending it on as a country. I mean, not personally. I like that we have this money sitting on the side, which was our tax money in the first place,
Right.
and maybe it's not getting spent on military or and any so many number of things you could point at. Uh, and that is the thing that I think that also people do forget, though. This isn't anyone's money but our own, and
Right.
that's it. I know. You and I have paid a whole lot more than $1,200 in taxes over the last 30 years. So yeah, you can give me a little bit back. Thank you.
Yes. 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 You can definitely. You know, have you been doing with the vaccine? Did you go that route? Did you not go that route? Were
I went
you
that route. I really when they first talked about vaccine, like I think everyone, a little
right?
trepidation, a little concern about it, and I'm not even talking about some of the historical items that concern some folks. I'm just was initially just thinking, all right, well, this is a brand new vaccine, and yes, they got it. They got it through and prepared and created pretty quickly. So there's always the questions of, well, how safe is it? But you do a little research, and what I was able to find out, again, the coronavirus, while this virus in particular, COVID-19, is a new strain of virus that we hadn't seen before, we've been dealing with coronavirus as the family for decades. So there was nothing new about those. Some people said, look, it says on the Lysol can it kills coronavirus. So this is all a hoax. Yeah, well, that was just that coronavirus like one, not
Right.
this one.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, so I got both shots. I'm done. I qualified as first responder. So thank you, Suffolk County, for making it available to its volunteers. And got the first shot, a little injection site soreness and a little queasiness, I think it was, for like a day or two after. And then that was it. And then second shot, even less. Same thing, injection site soreness. And I, like you reported, getting those. I didn't get the Moderna nap, but I might have gotten some of the Moderna chills for the day after or 2 days later. Just like, like you said, did someone turn the air conditioning on for a few hours, not even a whole day? And that was it. Feeling fine, feeling great. No other issues. And no one that I know has had any issues.
That's
So, I
true.
mean, I think one of the other things people do need to remember is there are with every single vaccine injection, there is always a percentage of people who have some sort of reaction. But what you have to think outside the box, that it's one globally, and just look at the scale. So sure, if a million vaccines are administered and 10 people have a reaction, what's that percentage? 0.001, I think, if I got my math right there. Um, it's going to happen. So even if you hear someone say, "I got sick," okay, well, how many other people did you hear about it, and what level of sickness? Let's not react, inappropriately. You need to do this, and again, taking the vaccine, yes, it it does not make it. It does not create the situation that you cannot get the virus. You'll still get it, but you'll have no sickness. You'll have no illness.
Right.
And that's the key thing. And also remember, you can still transmit it if you're carrying it. So masks are still just as important. Don't let your guard down. We're almost there. We're getting there now. Now we're starting to see vaccines going everywhere, pop-up sites in major cities. It's being made available. We got multiple manufacturers now. Those initial concerns of how cold one manufacturer's virus had to stay, not as much of a concern with some of the others. You can get it. It's out there. Getting it down to one shot now instead of two. We just need to do these things, and we will get through this. Now, what do I expect? I expect that we'll be getting a COVID shot every year, like you do a flu shot. Those who choose to get the flu shot, and I'll be one of those as well. But who knows? Maybe they get to the point where they figure out a long term vaccine to build up the antibodies that stay in your body. We'll see. But I'm getting it, and then I got it, and I'm happy. And I think you had pretty much the similar situations, right?
I did. I want to give a big shout out to Peter Bittner from the HAPS team, the HAPS community manager. Also, Yassine from wonderful, beautiful Tampa, Florida. He's also checking in. And Peter, thank you for the award. Appreciate your award. And as you know, everyone on HAPS appreciates you, Peter, because of all the hard work that you and Pablo put in to make sure that all of our silly or not so silly user or consumer end user related questions are answered. So we appreciate you. So, Rich, I will say this much. I took it. I got it. When I took both shots, I took both shots. It's one in January, one in February.
Yep.
I'm glad to do it. The missus, I will tell you this much. The missus, kind of spawned this on because with her being a teacher, she was, they were vaccinating people at the school live.
Right. Okay.
So she didn't have to go anywhere. The teachers didn't have to go anywhere. So I don't know what's happening or what's different with New York versus what's happening around the rest of the United States. I like to think it's the same thing. It's the same uniform plan, but we don't know because we go from federal, we go to local, we go to state. Is it a national plan? Is it not? We see a lot of different pop up vaccination sites happening, but in New York State, our governor, much maligned governor, who we will get to shortly, has done a fantastic job with working with the local municipality leaders in the various counties and cities and mayors to kind of get this stuff distributed. As you know, I took my vaccination at a local church. So, so it was like, wait, you're a church on Sunday, but you're a vaccination location the other 6 days of the week. So right. there's a lot going on. Whether or not you want to take it or not take it, that's your choice. I and you can only speak for our respective households,
right?
But because right. As you know, with everything's political. I'm not taking it.
And that's the shame.
Get this away from me.
That's the shame of it,
And it's everyone's choice. You want to take it, great. You don't want to take it, I'm okay with that too. If you don't want to take it, but then you need to limit yourself in what you're doing. So it's a catch-22, Rich. It's a real catch-22. I will tell you, the Moderna naps are real. If there's anyone out there who's watching this live or listening to the podcast, hashtag Moderna nap. It's real. It's like, you're sitting here, I'm talking to you, next thing you know, and next thing you know, it's just like, oh my God. But
it's 2 hours later.
You're just sitting there, you're like, where am I? What happened?
That one hasn't hit me. I haven't gotten hit with the Moderna naps.
I hope it doesn't hit you. But
no effect there.
Like the leg soreness, the arm soreness and stuff like that really hasn't hit me. The, hey, breaking out from a rash or, all the other related issues. And it was a good point that you brought up, and I've noticed on social media. And the thing is, you got to watch out with social media. Social media is something that's good, but then it's something that's not so good. Because, the stuff that gets spewed on there is kind of crazy because, like you said, they'll pull up an aerosol can. It says coronavirus 1 on this. This one says coronavirus 7. So it's been around and you're like, people, you got to do your homework. It's like
there's this thing called science, which I think that's the problem for some reason. And maybe it's the fault of science that people don't believe in science now, because all the things that have happened in the last 100 years, which have extended our lives and made our lives so much better, especially in the medical field, have gone beyond being taken for granted. So now people are like, but we've had pandemics before. We've had this and that before. I was like, yeah, well, you know what? Do you know anyone who has smallpox, rubella, measles, mumps, diphtheria?
Right. So, right.
You can start just polio. No, you maybe the younger ones, and maybe that's not just my generation. It's the generation before that needs to talk to some of their elders and say, hey, what was polio? And then they'll get stories of, before we started getting polio vaccines in our arms in the late 50s, early 60s, there was thousands and thousands of kids that were stricken with this, who couldn't walk, who, the iron lungs and all, science we've done so well with it. People don't understand it and take it for granted, and now just want to ignore it and say like, oh no, I don't need to do that. It doesn't matter. And, we saw it in New York City, of course, where, again, I mentioned measles outbreaks running rampant again because so many people now, no, I'm not getting my child immunized. Well, you're just going to create pockets again, and it's going to start all over again. I know I'm going to be going on a limb here, but I have the way I feel about it, sort of, is that, look, if you don't want to, and I'm not talking about specific, religious reasons, even if there's a moral reason, if there's, I understand, that's your choice, and everyone does have the choice, and you still have the choice. But There's also the, well, let's say, what do you do if you get sick because you didn't get the virus? And now who do you expect to pay for it? Because you still end up, if you, God forbid, end up in the hospital and all that. Responsibility? You're not going to take responsibility on this now? You're not going to say, oh, I didn't think it was real. I didn't know. Yeah, you did know. And we told you it was real. And science tells you it's real. So don't believe these cockamamie conspiracy theories. I don't know. What do you do? We still end up, yeah, doctors have to heal people. That's the Hippocratic Oath and should be abided by. Absolutely. But
No, it's true.
people
That's
need to
true.
take responsibility to some extent. I'm not saying don't cover people. Don't get me wrong. We're just rambling on that pretty much.
I will just say this, and we'll move on to the next topic. What's crazier to me is some of these governors jumping on cable news or making these comments about, "Hey, I'm opening my state, 100%," and we haven't been
Texas.
vaccinated. We haven't been vaccinated 100%. It's just messy.
So we'll sit back and watch the numbers. So that was that Texas governor announced that like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
All right. End of the month. 3 weeks.
But
Let's
it's
see what's
not.
happening in Texas.
It's not just that, Rich. It's Texas. It's Mississippi. You got
Yeah, I know.
the governor in Alabama saying, "Okay, this is going to be the last extension of mandatory masking
Yeah.
while you're in the public, and as of April 9th, that's it." And if you don't have 100%, or even I think the number is being thrown out is 75%, but that's 75% total,
Mm-hmm.
not 75% in your state, and you got people transporting in and out, traveling in and out of your state. It's just scary, very, very scary. And I think I won't use that word that's being used on the cable news, but like the way of thinking is just really questionable.
Yes, it is. And you don't know if, again, this is being driven purely by money. I mean, as a governor, if I was a governor, I'm sure, you've got a state that, some of these states got to be taxed and stressed financially
Yeah,
to
the
the
cash
brink.
strapped. I
And, got to get that money back. You got to get businesses back up and running, get so that those taxes are coming in and people can get paid again and you start moving things on. But you can't just forego the health of the populace. You can't make reckless statements.
right.
And again, certain things you want to open up, fine. Keep the mask mandate. We're not saying don't open at that point, but that one minor level of protection, keep the mask on. Why? I personally, I don't understand what people have against wearing a mask outside. In your own home, do whatever you want. Doesn't matter. But outside, wear the mask. It's that simple. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Hey, we'll quickly go to Governor Andrew Cuomo. So, how could someone who was so right, who was like a beacon of hope, the guiding light, one life to live, a general's hospital, and
Getting us through the
also
days of our lives. Okay, go ahead.
getting us through the days of our lives, and was once considered all of our children. How could someone, and most people that are watching this, if you're under like 40, you don't know what we're talking about right now, but it's okay. Just roll with it. So how can someone so right, with coming out, and we watch them on YouTube every day. We watch them on all the local channels, stream them every day.
Yep.
Someone who took something so negative to a positive, and now this person has taken something so positive to a negative, Rich.
Well, I'm going to say this. One, for, again, and it's New York, but for every one of us here in New York who thinks and feels that he did so positive a job, there's someone else that thinks he did such a negative job.
True.
And there's just that many out there who have been saying he's doing wrong by all the mandates he put in place and calling him, Il Cuomo, and making it seem like he's the dictator and that he did wrong and stop the masks and he should. So
King.
many who have those feelings. Yes, King Cuomo, Il Duce. It's so that half of maybe I got to think it's less than half, but there's a significant number that don't feel that he did the right things then, and they're like, "See, this is just another thing. He was doing what he wanted to, and all that." I mean, my personal feeling in this, I mean, there are issues, right? There's more and more coming out about the potential cover up of reported deaths in the nursing homes. That's
Yes,
serious. There's no playing
that's
around with that.
very
There's no
serious.
yeah, and
That
some go ahead.
that number is almost at 50%. If you
Right.
read the Wall Street Journal and New York Times articles last night, and I'm sitting there reading this stuff, and I'm like, oh my goodness. It so there's a big difference. A lot of times we're at work and we're asked to produce reports.
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain times where we might consider, juking the stats.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what you call that.
There's a difference. If reporting, if these allegations are true, that's very serious because then you were just trying to hide numbers, and it wouldn't make sense. Why hide the death numbers
Why hide it?
unless you feel that you had some culpability in the cause? And clearly, he didn't. And I don't even blame the nursing homes for it. Really, I mean, no one knew what was going on at the beginning of this and how
No one
easy to
knew what
spread and
to
everything
do.
else.
No one knew
So
what to
why
do.
hide the number? You know, unless you want to claim something like certain orange capped one tried to do and say, "Oh, I didn't want to tell anyone because I didn't want to cause panic and fear." Well, I'm sorry, but for everyone who passed away, for almost everyone that passed away, there was a family member that knew about it. So it's not like the numbers weren't people didn't know what was going on.
Right.
Um, and you put things, he put the measures in place so that we could contain this and start really and truly locking down the nursing homes like what was needed as they learned. So I'm hoping that after some investigation it comes out that no, this was not an intentional downplaying for those kind of reasons. But still, that's serious. The other half of it is the harassment allegations.
Sexual
Eh,
harassment.
yeah,
There's an
we got to
investigation that
see
needs to
more.
take place. There's an investigation that needs to take place. Okay, so
Yes, without a doubt.
it's going to be taking place. I'm sure the New York AG, Letitia James, is going to be all over this.
Yep.
Every part of that is wrong.
Right.
Sexual harassment is bad. It's wrong.
Right.
You know, hey, I'm gonna tell you this much. No one should feel like, you should not go around just touching someone,
Right.
whether
Correct.
the small of their back, on their arm, or the like.
Yep.
You should
Yep.
not be ogling someone.
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
And before you hug somebody, you should say, "Hey, can I give you a hug?"
Right.
I think everyone has taken some type of general ethics class, workplace ethics class.
Workplace harassment class. Everyone's got those.
Everyone.
We know corporate does, and yeah, the state does too,
Right.
and county.
So that's where you kind of like, where you can sit here and say, "Oh, I didn't know. I didn't touch anyone. I didn't do," and I'm like, okay, was that apology, or was that not an apology, or was that just,
Right.
I don't even know what that was. The numbers in the nursing home, troubling.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of this, no one knew what they were doing.
Right.
Okay. So you're transitioning people from hospital to nursing home, back to hospital,
Yep.
not really sure, because if the end game is the number is 15,000, then you have 15,000 people that are no longer here.
Right.
So that's the end result. Why you're playing games with the numbers, I don't know either.
I don't know. And I've got family member. My mother is in an assisted living home. It's not really a nursing home now. It's assisted living.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean the timing there, and they were very strict on the rules. You know, once as soon as people started to know what was going on, as soon as the transmittability of that the word of this virus came out, they put everything on lockdown. You know, first it was no visitors at all, and you just can't have any outside interaction. And then it's all right. Well, if we can go X amount of days without someone reporting at the location, then we can have visitors, but they can never get those days. And like you said, you got to go to the hospital. You got to transport a person to the hospital. So it's the ambulance, it's the hospital, it's the emergency rooms, it's
Right.
upstairs, it's back, it's the whole path. And no matter what, even after all of these items were put in place, all these precautions, people still got sick. And this is,
People,
well into and are still getting sick with all
people
the
are still
precautions in
getting.
place. So at what point, do you say, well, we're doing everything we can, and probably are, but that's just the nature of this beast. It is that transmissible. And again,
Yeah.
like you're saying though, why hide it? There's no need to hide it. It is what
No.
it is.
No. There's no need. There's no need at all. We'll transition from that. This is Late Night Parents, the Lunch Talk Live version of the radio show, live stream, podcast. Um, I am Ted Hicks. We have Rich Valdez here. Rich, when you heard, I'm not sure if you heard or not, Square, who deals with, digital currency and everything else like that, the parent company of Cash App,
Yep.
acquired the majority of Tidal,
$300 million.
Jay-Z's streaming service. My question to you is, does that move the needle for you?
For me, nope.
Were you a Tidal subscriber?
I was not.
I didn't even use the trial version of Tidal. It can never compare to Apple Music or Spotify. Period.
And we've had that conversation before. I am also not an Apple Music subscriber. I was a Spotify subscriber for a while. I just don't have the need of it as much because now I'm also a satellite radio subscriber. And once they opened that up, they finally did the right thing and stopped charging for using the app on the computer. That's all they had to do. Exactly. Now I'm hoping that this wasn't put in place just for COVID time. They should just leave that because they get enough money a month, and it's not like you're sitting. Well, again, a lot of people do sit in their car for 12 hours a day, so I can't say that.
Right.
But for some of us who may only be in our car for 10 minutes a day, still paying that monthly bill, come on, let me have access to it from a browser, and you don't have to do anything else with your infrastructure, and that's it. So they finally did. So I don't even have my paid Spotify account anymore. Got radio, got satellite, can listen to it whatever I want, wherever I want, and I still have a decent enough music library of my own anyway. So I'm good.
I will tell you this much. I signed up, so I stopped being. So I was how do I start? I was a satellite subscriber for about 12, 13 years, maybe even longer. But what I noticed was you got to play games with them, every other year when you're renewing your contract.
Yes.
Because they send you something and the number is totally ridiculous.
Yep.
And you got to go back on the phone and you're putting in a phone call, and the phone call is being picked up. Then the call is being routed offshore, and you're sitting here and they're asking you for, hey, the bill is $270. And I'm sitting here I said, I'm in the car for 10 minutes.
Right.
A day.
Right.
So I canceled it not only on mine, on my wife's car too.
Yeah.
But what I did was I got one of their they sent me a little brochure, and they said, And because I asked them, how about me just having access to the internet, their internet
Mm-hmm.
subscription?
Mm-hmm.
And they were telling me something crazy on the phone. It was like $9 a month. And I said, well, how much is it to have it in your car? And they were like, oh, it's about $10 a month. If not,
You can bargain them down to that depending on your level of service and all that stuff.
so I wound up paying. You'll love this. It's kind of frugal. I think I paid a total of $4 a month. I mean, $4
Right.
total for 3 months.
$4 total.
$4 total for 3 months, but you have to
Nice.
cancel it after the 3 month mark.
Yep.
It's one of those.
Otherwise, they're
You
like,
got
okay, here comes the automatic billing. Yep. I did something similar with them. And yes, we are live with the Grizz. So what I had to do with satellite is subscription was due. And actually
Mhm.
no, it was when I bought the most recent vehicle. They bundle, they give you a whole bunch of services. Now I was already a satellite subscriber anyway, but I did not have the full 100% package. So they bump it up to the full package, give it to you for 3 months. I rolled with it for that 3 months. On the day before the 3 months, I had set myself a reminder. So I give them a call and I tell them, all right, thanks. You gave me the free full everything. I'm just going to go back down to what I was paying for before. And I guess they look and see the same thing. I've been a satellite subscriber for like 13, 14 years. And the salesperson said, oh, you know what we're going to do for you? We'll let you keep it at the full service package, and we'll
Okay.
give you the bargain price of like $9 a month for a year. I said,
Wow.
that's it? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no problem. We'll do it right now. You hear the keyboard in the background? You're all set, Mr. Valdez. I said, all right, that's how
Oh,
you do things. That's how you do things.
yes. Rich, as you say this, it looks like my browser is frozen.
I'm still here.
Oh, okay, great.
Can you hear me? That's all the
So
question I'll ask.
I can hear you loud and clear. That's all that matters.
All
Question I
right.
have for you is this weekend. I know there's a lot that you're
Yes.
planning to be doing this weekend. Will you spend? Will you commit? You're gonna feel like you're on Capitol Hill. Will you commit to 90 minutes
Mr. Chairman.
of watching Coming to America 2 and WandaVision?
I can I can neither confirm nor deny that I'll commit for 90 minutes of Coming to America 2. I can commit that I will be watching WandaVision. Last
Okay.
episode was great. Well, no spoilers. We'll keep this spoiler free. I'm glad. Well, I can mention that name, I guess. I'm glad to see the backstory they put up. I'm glad to
Yes.
see learning more about Agatha Harkness. I won't say any more. Just leave that
Yes.
there. That is all coming together nicely. And my thing was, when they mentioned her name in that last second, I'm like, who didn't know that was Scarlet Witch? I'm like, didn't we all know
Who
that?
didn't
Didn't
know that?
everyone recognize
But there's a
you
whole
are the
world.
Scarlet Witch? Right,
There's a whole world, Rich, that's out there.
right. I know, and I'm not
That
familiar with Scarlet Witch, the comic, that much. So people are learning. So all the new folks in Marvel, welcome to the fold. But that series has been very, very good. I can't say how much I liked and have enjoyed watching that. Coming to America too. I mean, even though it's been, what is it now, like 25 years? I forget when the first one came out in the 80s. But it's a sequel. I mean, you got the original cast, you got Eddie Murphy, you got Arsenio. I mean, together they're going to be funny no matter what. I hope it's good. I wish it all the best. And I don't know if I'll watch it this weekend, but I know I will watch it within the first week. I'll definitely do that. I'm actually looking forward for more, and I know it will not be as good. I seriously doubt, but Godzilla versus King Kong, I'm looking forward to that because I still remember the black and white Godzilla versus Kong from the 60s, 70s, and that was just an awesome show. So I'm looking forward to that and hoping that Godzilla versus Kong is entertaining, which is all you can ask for.
I had a question. So a question, and I'm not even sure if I sent it to you. Did I send you any email on how to tell if a movie is big or not?
I don't think so.
Maybe it didn't. Okay, we'll save that for another time because I had a question about now in the streaming world, how do we tell if a movie is like over the top, big? Because these streaming services nowadays, and we have to have all of them. Right. That says, "Hey, we got 10,000 new subscribers," and I'm like, so is that a good movie versus when you hear, "Oh, this movie made $500 million"?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, what are they basing? How do they base the movie's success? Basically, is what you're saying. Is it now going to be where you can't base it upon the dollars at the box office, but you base it upon the subscribers, the new subscribers?
An article I read, I think on The Verge, based it on the amount of subscribers that have recently joined. Around about that time that the movie is, made available, premiered on that streaming service.
See, that doesn't make sense to me because now it's easier, and I never trusted box office numbers anyway. I don't like looking at the money. Let me know what the ticket sales were. But same thing. It's not like they don't know exactly how many people click on the movie, click on the preview, click on the movie, sat through the movie for the first 10 minutes, sat through and watched the entire movie. They know down to the second what you've been doing. So it's not like they don't know right away, when a movie is released, how many people had interest and watched. So they don't need to speculate on, okay, we got additional subscribers. I'm sure that may mean something if a film is released exclusively on a platform and they want to see how many people join that platform to view it. But okay, how many people who are already on the platform viewed it might be even more important because that's right. People are, that's true viewership. Right. So that's not like the data's not there. All the metrics are there to look and see the true success of a film, and repeat viewing and everything else, which you'll have even more clarity on versus just more ticket sales. Well, you could say, wow, this family, this login viewed it 5 times in the first month or whatever the case may be. So they have more information now than they did before.
Big shout out to Michael Bathurst from Toronto. Rich, I got to tell you, Michael has the best morning show.
Really?
In the business on Haps. He not only has a morning show, he has an afternoon and I believe also an evening show, but his Sunday business show is even better.
Michael, I just subscribed to you.
Make sure you subscribe to Michael Bathurst. Great person, great personality. And just overall, nice guy.
Good.
And he always has great guests. I will say that. So I think these companies nowadays, like I said, it's so hard nowadays because I want to see once, and I know we got to get ready to wrap.
Yeah, I got 7 minutes.
So Black Widow is going to it's going to be made available. I'm guessing they're going to have to release it on the streaming service because they've held onto the movie for about a year.
Yep.
Now it's starting to collide with the other movies that are, and TV shows that are coming out.
Yep.
So what I was going to say to you was the fact that how do they do it? Are they going to do it based on their premiere access, based on how many eyeballs were on the movie to say, oh, it was a success? Because with Disney, they're looking for these billion-dollar franchises.
Right.
So it's kind of hard because the $1 billion doesn't exist anymore, but your subscribers exist and your new subscribers exist. But it'll never equal up to the $1 billion.
I don't know, because maybe it can, because I mean, let's one. I would like to see the numbers of overall, in the last year, how many new subscribers have joined all the various streaming services, and I would also like to see what happens to the numbers when we get out of quarantine. Do people hold on to those subscriptions? Has this now become the new norm? I mean, I do like let them release it on home video first, or a streaming service first, and then for those who want to get the full movie experience, all right, you can go to see it in the theater a month later, and get the $20 popcorn and a $15 soda and sit there and enjoy it in full view with full surround sound, and as a film is meant to be enjoyed. Um, but this definitely is going to change the industry. No, where we're gone are the days of films are only released in the theater, and I don't think they need to be. So they're making money. They've got these subscribers, so that money is coming in. It's still millions, and what is the number? What is the subscriber fee total these days for all the services? Would be an interesting number
Right.
to see. So.
Right. Hey, Michael, thanks for the Stay Safe Award. Rich, next to last topic. Apple clarifies you can't actually set a default music service on their devices, because I kind of see Apple with their iOS and iOS 14.5
Right.
running into the same problem that Microsoft ran into when we first started in the business, using
Oh,
their
is this the
their
pot calling
browser.
the
Yes.
the pot calling the kettle black? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, shades of Internet Explorer 4.0 being the default on your Windows 95 machine.
Correct. So we're going to see, because supposedly in iOS 14.5, you are now able to set your default music music service, because
Good.
today's music service is kind of like yesteryear's internet browser. It's
Yeah.
all the same thing.
Yep.
That's one thing. Last thing I will say to you is, what are you streaming? What do
I'm
you
do,
plan
I'm
to stream?
I'm doing a few things. So I mean, one, the sun is shining. You feel the warmth coming up. So summer is coming. I've actually been doing a whole lot of YouTube videos, especially for the Long Island area where we are, on fishing and the outdoor stuff. So looking to get ready for summer to enjoy that. I have been catching up on not the last season of The Walking Dead, because you and I have talked about this, because I got you into that series, and
Yes.
at a certain point in season 10, I had just had enough, and I finally decided to let me pick it up and see what happens. And pleasantly surprised, I will give nothing away there for anyone who may not have seen it, but if you've stopped, go ahead and catch up with it. And WandaVision, been doing that, and some chef shows. There's a great show with John Favreau. He did a movie called Chef, and then he's also done a cooking series. He's also like a semi-professional cook, besides being producer, actor, director. And the Chef show, and he's just going along with a lot of industry people and cooking, and it's very entertaining. A lot of inside stories, kind of stuff, inside politics, inside scoop. So it's been really that's it for me. I'm just randomly going through things and looking at them.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you this much. I'm not sure if you saw it during the first run. Person of Interest, CBS show, Paramount show. I'm not promoting Paramount Plus on here, but I do have a subscription to Paramount Plus.
Okay.
I will tell you this much. Person of Interest, great show, especially for our profession. You will,
I Yeah. Go ahead.
you will really like it.
I've seen a few episodes of it. I used to watch it when it was prime time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, great show. Great show.
So we're gonna come to a close because we're almost at the 50-minute mark. You have a meeting to go to.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
Ways to get in contact with you.
Late Night Rich, Twitter.
And I am the real Ted Hicks. You can find us both here on haps.tv. Big shout out to Haps. And also any other way you listen to your podcast. All right, we're out.
Thanks everyone for joining us. We will be back soon with Ted. I'm sure you'll see Ted before you see me.